My daughter-in-law sent my son's lunchbox to my office by mistake. I showed it to a colleague, thinking it was funny. His face turned white, and he urged me to rush my son to the hospital. Why? I asked, confused. I can't tell you now, it's bad. Just go, or he might not make it. What I learned at the hospital sent chills down my spine. Thanks for being here. If you're watching this video, hit like and subscribe. Drop a comment to tell me where you're hearing my story of revenge. I'm curious how far it's reached. It was a hectic Monday morning at my Washington, D.C. home. Pots clanged in the kitchen, coffee brewed, and a hint of perfume from a sample on the dining table filled the air. I was hurrying to get to the office, eager to check on my new perfume line, my life's pride. My son, Benjamin, looked sharp in his suit, ready for a big meeting at his financial firm where he's a managing director. Seeing him fix his hair in the mirror warmed my heart. He's my only child, and I've poured my life into raising and loving him. In the kitchen, my daughter-in-law, Eliza, was packing our lunches. Her ponytail swung as she stirred a pan, chatting happily on the phone with friends. Her hands moved smoothly, filling 2 containers, one big for Benjamin, one smaller for me. I watched her from the doorway, feeling grateful. You're so thoughtful, dear. You care for your husband and your mother-in-law, I said with a smile. Eliza glanced back, her eyes bright, and gave a small smile. I just want us to eat well, Mom. Eating out isn't safe these days. Her words hit me deeply. I saw Eliza as a daughter, a lively, caring, always looking out for us. As we left, she handed me the small container and put Benjamin's in his car. I tucked it in my bag, touched by her attention. Eliza made me feel so secure. I had no idea that Lunchbox would turn my world upside down. At lunch, my office buzzed with chatter. Young staff laughed around the break room table, sharing stories about their families. I pulled out the lunch container and noticed something odd. It wasn't mine, it was Benjamin's larger one. I chuckled, thinking, Eliza's more forgetful than me. Opening it, I saw white crystals, like sugar, on the rim. Weird, a savory dish with sugar? I mumbled, half amused, half curious. My co-workers teased me. Your container looks like a margarita glass. The office erupted in laughter, the mood light and fun. I took the container to David, my trusted colleague. He used to be a doctor and now advises on safety at my perfume company. I always share my life's little moments with him. Check this out, I said, grinning. Eliza's young but already more absent-minded than me. Sugar on a savory dish rim? Maybe she wants Benjamin to gain weight. I expected him to laugh along. But David didn't smile. He examined the container under the office light, rubbing the rim. His face paled, eyes narrowing like he'd seen something awful. Who made this food? He asked, his voice low and serious. I frowned, uneasy. Eliza, like always. She packs lunch for Benjamin and me. She mixed up the containers today. Why? I tried to stay calm, but dread started creeping in. David looked at me, worry in his eyes. Take your son to the hospital now, he said urgently, his voice loud enough to startle me. My heart sank, like a knife had pierced it. I froze, my blood running cold. The office went silent. The laughter stopped, and my co-workers exchanged confused glances. I fought to stay steady. David, why? What's happening? I asked again. He shook his head, voice shaky. I can't explain now. It's bad. Do it, or Benjamin won't make it. My heart broke. My son, whom I'd protected all my life, was in danger. I couldn't grasp it. I didn't want to believe it. But David's tone left no room for doubt. Are you serious? I asked, my voice cracking. Is this for real? I asked, my voice shaking. David grabbed my hand, his eyes red. I swear, I'd never joke about this. Those crystals aren't sugar. You need to act fast. His words hit me like a siren, jolting every nerve. I didn't understand, but my mother's gut screamed something was horribly wrong. The container sat on the table, a silent threat. I glanced at it, then at David, feeling my world crumble. David urged me out the door, his voice thick with panic. Go now. No time to waste. He was already on his phone, calling the toxicology department at the University of Maryland Medical Center. His shaky voice was firm. Analyze this sample now. It's life or death. I stood frozen, gripping the container, my mind spinning. Minutes ago, I'd laughed about those white crystals. Now, the container felt like a ticking bomb. I slid it into a plastic bag, treating it like crime scene evidence. I'm going, I told David, forcing my voice steady despite the fear clawing at me. He nodded, his face grim. Meet me at the hospital. Don't let anyone touch that container. I called Mr. Jones, my driver of 20 years. Straight to the medical center, I said, my voice rough. He glanced at me in the rearview mirror, curious but silent. Faster, Jones, I urged. In the backseat, I clutched the bag, staring out the window. Washington, D.C., buzzed with cabs, vendors, and sunlight glinting off buildings. But it all felt distant, like I was trapped in a nightmare where only fear and I existed. At the hospital, I rushed to the reception, bag in hand. The nurse, with thick glasses, looked startled when I said, "Test this food container. Something's wrong with it." She blinked, unsure, but then her phone rang. I caught David's voice on the line. The nurse nodded, scribbling fast. "Okay. We'll send it to the lab right away," she said, curiosity seeping through her professional tone. I nodded, too drained to say more. A lab tech in a white coat took the sample. They led me to a waiting room down the hall. The hospital was alive with footsteps, PA announcements, and the sharp smell of disinfectant. I sat, hands clasped, trying to stay calm. Each minute dragged like an hour. The clock's slow ticks mocked me. Memories of Benjamin flooded my mind, running through the park, gripping my hand, beaming on stage at his college graduation, and lately, looking pale, rubbing his stomach, saying, "It's just work stress, Mom." I'd believed it was stress. David's words haunted me, "Your son won't survive." My heart squeezed tight. Who would hurt Benjamin? My kind, hard-working son? I dialed Benjamin's number, hands trembling. It rang, but no answer. He was in a meeting, but the silence crushed my chest. I texted, "Benjamin, get a secret checkup today. Tell no one, not even Eliza." I stared at the screen, waiting. Nothing. I told myself to breathe, but panic surged like a tidal wave. Finally, a young doctor approached, his tag reading, Dr. Ethan Miller. His face was serious but kind. "You brought the food container?" he asked, holding a report. I nodded, my heart pounding. He sat beside me, speaking slowly. "The sample has arsenic, a deadly poison. Long-term exposure damages the stomach, liver, kidneys, and can kill." The word arsenic cut like a knife. I sat stunned, staring at him, praying I'd misheard. But he went on, voice heavier. "Fatigue, stomach pain, nausea, these match chronic poisoning. If your son's been eating this, he's at serious risk." My mind spun. I recalled Benjamin's tired complaints, nights clutching his stomach, pale on the couch. "Just work pressure," he'd said. I'd believed him, even took him to a doctor who gave vitamins. How could I miss poison in his daily lunches? I clenched my fists, nails biting my palms, fighting to hold it together. "Thank you, Doctor, I whispered, voice breaking. Ethan patted my shoulder gently and left. I left the hospital, my feet heavy as lead. In the car, I clutched the plastic bag with the container, proof of a terrifying truth. Washington, D.C., buzzed with car horns and laughter, but I was deaf to it all. One question haunted me: who would hurt Benjamin? Then a chilling thought hit me. Eliza, my daughter-in-law, who made his food, who I trusted like a daughter. No, it couldn't be her, I told myself. Eliza was so caring, always tending to Benjamin's meals. But the image of those white crystals on the container flashed in my mind, with David's warning, "It's something terrible." I checked my phone for Benjamin's reply to my message. Nothing. I wanted to call again, but stopped. If Eliza was involved, I couldn't tip her off. I needed time to dig deeper, to keep my son safe. In the car, I stared out at the sunset glinting off skyscrapers. But my heart was dark. Benjamin was my world. I'd lost my husband a decade ago and built my perfume brand for my son. I couldn't lose him. I couldn't go home yet. Dr. Miller's words at the hospital left my mind in chaos. I needed answers to this nightmare-threatening Benjamin. I drove to Mr. Harrison, my lawyer of 20 years, who handled all my perfume brand's legal matters. He knew my assets and wishes better than anyone. At his office, Mr. Harrison sat behind his desk, gold-rimmed glasses on, reading a file. He smiled warmly when he saw me. "Mrs. Wallace, no appointment? Something urgent?" I sat in the leather chair, cutting to the chase. "Mr. Harrison, I need you to check my will and estate documents now." My voice was steady, hiding the storm inside me. He frowned but didn't pry. He grabbed a thick folder from a cabinet. "This is last year's draft," he said, setting the papers before me. I flipped through the pages. The legal terms about properties and shares blurred together. Then I hit the inheritance section, and my blood ran cold. My will split my assets equally between Benjamin and Eliza, whom I saw as a daughter. A clause stopped me dead. If one died before me, the other got everything. If Benjamin died, Eliza would inherit it all. I looked at Harrison, my voice shaky. "If I'm alive, can she get anything?" He adjusted his glasses, voice clear. "You own the brand and can change the will anytime. But if Benjamin dies first, his assets, properties, investments, go to Eliza. After you pass, she'd get it all legally." He paused, ensuring I grasped the weight of his words. I nodded, but inside, I was falling apart. The pieces were clicking, forming a terrifying picture. Driving home, Eliza consumed my thoughts. She'd been the perfect daughter-in-law, beautiful, attentive, always pleasing me. Now those memories felt warped. I recalled her subtle questions about our Milan house or my Hamptons investments. Once, at dinner, she said, "If you're not in charge someday, I'll keep the brand going, right, Mom? I'll do it well." I'd smiled, thinking she cared. Now her words rang like a warning. Had Eliza planned this for years? Did she see Benjamin and me as barriers to a fortune? I got home as darkness fell. The porch's yellow light lit Eliza in a wicker chair, scrolling her phone. She looked up, smiling brightly. "Home, Mom? I booked a spa day this weekend. Want to join? They've got great massages." Her voice was light, but it felt cold now. I searched her eyes for guilt, a crack in her mask. Nothing but that perfect smile. "I'm busy, dear." "Go with friends," I said sharply, hurrying inside. I hid my trembling hands and the anger burning in my chest. I collapsed onto the living room couch, hands on my head. My heart was split. Part of me couldn't believe Eliza, the girl I'd embraced as family, could do something so evil. But my mother's instinct screamed to protect Benjamin, no matter how painful the truth. I thought back to when Benjamin first brought Eliza home. She was shy, clutching his hand, saying, "I'll take good care of him." I trusted her, felt blessed to have her. Now, those memories stabbed my heart like knives. The next morning, I woke with a weight crushing my chest. Nightmares of Benjamin, the container, and Eliza's smile, real or fake, haunted me all night. I wore a dark blue blouse, one Benjamin said made me look strong, and drove to his downtown office. I didn't call ahead, just texted, "I need to see you now." On the drive, I tried to stay calm, but my sweaty hands gripped the wheel. I knew this talk would change everything. Benjamin had to hear the truth. When I got there, Benjamin was leaving a meeting. His jacket was wrinkled, but his smile lit up when he saw me. "Mom, here unannounced?" "Checking if I'm working hard," he teased, his tone light. Seeing him so alive and carefree broke my heart. How could I tell him the woman he loved might be trying to kill him? But I had no choice. "Benjamin, let's go to your office." "It's serious," I said, my voice heavier than I meant. His smile faded. He frowned but nodded and led me to his spacious office with a big window overlooking the busy city. He sat, gesturing for me to sit across from him. "What's wrong, Mom?" "Trouble with the perfume brand?" he asked, expecting something routine. I didn't answer right away. I opened my purse, pulled out the lab results from the hospital and the will from Mr. Harrison, and slid them across the desk. "Read these, Benjamin," I said, my voice tight with emotion, locking eyes with him. Benjamin flipped through the papers. His face shifted from calm to confused, then pale. When he saw the lab results, his hands shook, rustling the pages. "Arsenic in my food," he said, eyes wide with disbelief. I took a deep breath, steadying my voice, and told him everything: the mixed-up lunchbox, the white crystals, David's warning, the lab confirming deadly poison. I spoke slowly, each detail heavy, as if rushing would break me. Benjamin sat frozen, gripping the papers. He shook his head, rejecting it all. "No way, Mom," he choked out. "Eliza loves me, loves us. She cooks for me daily, cares about every detail. How could she?" His voice faded, eyes red. Seeing him like that tore me apart. I wanted to hug him, say it was a mistake, but the proof was right there. I couldn't lie. I let him process, then said firmly, "It's hard to believe, son. I hate it too, but the evidence is clear. Remember your fatigue, stomach pain, nausea these past months? I thought it was work stress. Now I know better." I paused, meeting his gaze. "Benjamin, I can't lose you. You have to face this, no matter how much it hurts." He bowed his head, hands covering his face, eyes shut tight. I knew he was piecing together the nights of exhaustion, Eliza's orange juice, her meals with that gentle smile. Suddenly, he slammed the table, startling me. "If this is true," he said, voice shaking with anger, "she didn't just betray me, she's trying to steal your legacy and ruin us." His eyes burned with pain and resolve, his world shattered by the woman he loved. I grabbed his hand, squeezing hard. "We'll work with the police," I said, voice steady. "We can't face her alone. Silence puts you in more danger." Benjamin looked at me, eyes torn between love and doubt. I knew he still cared for Eliza, hoping for an explanation. But he took a deep breath, nodded, eyes red. "Mom, I'm with you. Let's expose her. I won't let you lose more." That afternoon, we went to the precinct to meet Inspector Carter, someone I'd met at a business seminar years ago. He was middle-aged, grey hair, serious voice, sharp eyes. We sat in a small, coffee-scented office with white walls. I laid out the whole story for Inspector Carter, from the lunchbox mix-up to the lab results. Benjamin chimed in about his health struggles. Carter listened closely, jotting notes and nodding. "This is serious," he said gravely. We'll take the container as evidence, set up cameras at your house, and test more food samples. He looked at Benjamin, then me. Keep this secret. She can't know we are watching. Benjamin nodded, fists clenched. Got it, he said, voice rough. I could see him wrestling with his love for Eliza. Leaving the precinct, Benjamin stayed quiet. We stood in the busy DC parking lot. My son, the boy I raised, looked years older in a day. Mom, he said, voice breaking, I never thought the woman I slept beside wanted me dead. But for you, the brand, our family, I'll be strong. I hugged him tight, his trembling body against mine. I'm here, son, I whispered, tears falling. We'll face this together. My heart hurt, but I felt resolute. We weren't victims anymore. I'd protect Benjamin at all costs. In the car, silence hung heavy. The engine droned, but my mind was a storm. We were at war with someone we called family. Benjamin stared out the window, face tight, hands clenched. I knew he was torn between love and betrayal. Mom, he said softly, how do we expose her? I can't let this drag on. I nodded, my resolve hardening. We'll push her to slip up, Benjamin. If she's got a plan, she'll mess up. Back home, I called Carter to plan. He listened, then said firmly, hit her motive, money. Make her think the fortune's slipping away. She'll panic and act sloppy. His words sparked an idea. The will obsessed Eliza. If she thought the money was gone, she'd crack. I've got a plan, I told Carter, feeling like a general ready for battle. Next morning, I called Mr. Harrison, my lawyer, loud enough for Eliza to hear as she arranged flowers nearby. Can you come this afternoon to discuss a new will? Her hands froze, but she quickly bent down, pretending to work. I knew she'd heard. When Harrison's car pulled up, I opened the gate wide so Eliza, on the porch with a friend, could see. Her eyes flicked to the car, curiosity clear. In the living room, Harrison and I sat by an open window, voices carrying outside. I've decided, I said loudly. In a month, I'm changing my will. Most of my estate goes to a charity for orphans. They need it more than my kids. Harrison, in on the plan, nodded. Noble choice, Mrs. Wallace. I'll draft the papers. What percentage? He asked, playing along. At least 80%, I said firmly. The brand, properties, all of it. I want a lasting legacy. Quiet footsteps paused in the hall. Eliza passed with a fruit tray, eyes wide for a moment before she rushed off. My heart raced, as she'd heard, and it hit her hard. As Harrison left, Eliza saw him out, her smile forced, voice shaky. Thanks for coming, she said, barely hiding her unease. That night, I set up a family dinner to keep things normal. Benjamin sat beside me, Eliza across, her smile dimmer than usual. Pouring wine, I brought up the will again. The brand's my life's work, but I want it tied to charity. Donating my estate brings me peace, I said pointedly. Eliza nodded, faking support. That's wonderful, Mom. I'm with you. But her nails dug into her wine glass. Benjamin added softly, You're right, Mom. It's great to focus on society. I want the brand to have a humanitarian image. I glanced at Eliza, her head bowed, lips tight. After dinner, she made an excuse. I've got a late spa appointment with a friend. I'll be back late, she said, grabbing her purse and leaving. Clearing the table, I passed the garden and overheard her on the phone, voice low and urgent. We can't wait a month. We need to act now. My heart froze. I coughed, stepping outside as if by chance. Eliza jumped, eyes wide with panic. My massage got moved to tomorrow morning. I'm tired today, she said, her tone shifting as she hung up. I smiled. Rest, dear. Don't push yourself. But I knew she was rattled. That night, passing Eliza's room, I saw her silhouette pacing, phone to her ear. Her whisper was tense. I have to act before that old lady changes the will. I slipped back to my room, heart racing, knowing her panic was peaking. After that dinner, the house felt like a tightrope. Benjamin and I kept things normal on the surface, but every step felt risky. One mistake could ruin everything. One morning, as I brewed coffee, Benjamin shuffled in, looking drained. He rubbed his forehead. Mom, Eliza's food tastes off. Yesterday's soup was bitter, and the juice had white sediment, he said softly, eyes worried. His words pierced my heart. I grabbed his hand, voice steady. Don't eat her food. I'll handle it. Days earlier, Inspector Carter had hidden a camera in the kitchen pantry. He set me up in a precinct office, watching a big screen. I sat with him and another officer, eyes locked on the monitor. The footage was clear. Eliza, in an apron, hair tied back, opened a small glass bottle and sprinkled white powder into simmering soup. Her careful moves showed practice, her face cold, emotionless. I gripped the table, nails digging into wood, pain shooting through me. I wanted to storm in and confront her, but Carter's hand on my shoulder stopped me. Stay calm, Mrs. Wallace. We need more proof. She's not getting away. I nodded, rage burning inside. Seeing Eliza stir the soup, a faint smile on her lips, shattered my world. The daughter-in-law I loved was a stranger, a threat in my home. I turned to Carter, voice shaking. Is the camera catching everything? She can't deny this. He nodded, eyes cold. Every detail's recorded, crystal clear. That night, Benjamin pretended to eat Eliza's dinner. After a bite, he clutched his head, groaning about dizziness, and slumped on the couch. Eliza rushed over, holding him, her voice fake worried. Too much work stress. I'll get water. From the corner, I saw her tender smile, but her eyes were icy, calculating. I turned away, pretending to wash dishes, my heart aching. Benjamin's act was perfect, but I knew he hurt, not from poison, but betrayal. The police secretly took that dinner's food for testing. Next morning, Carter called me to his office, handing me the results. His voice was heavy. The arsenic in the soup and juice is double the last sample. She's panicking, scared of losing the inheritance after your charity talk. She's speeding up. I read the report, blood chilling. Double? I whispered, stunned. Eliza wasn't just harming Benjamin, she wanted him gone fast, before I changed the will. Carter's voice was low. You and Benjamin need to be careful. She's losing control. From then on, I watched every detail. Eliza always served Benjamin's juice first, placing it carefully before him, then serving me. One day, I acted thirsty and asked Eliza for orange juice. She fidgeted in the kitchen, hands shaky as she handed me the glass. Here, Mom, she said, avoiding my eyes, like she was hiding something. I smiled. Thanks, dear, but I'll have water instead. She froze, then nodded with a stiff smile. Another evening, Eliza set a bowl of soup before Benjamin, her face full of fake concern. Eat, love. I made this just for you. I caught Benjamin's eye, signaling him. He gave a weak smile, but I spoke up. I'm old, I stick to broth. Let your husband have the soup. Eliza's smile froze. Of course, she said, voice cracking, and turned away fast. Her confusion gave me a strange mix of relief and pain. Each time I dodged her food, I tightened the trap we'd set. Benjamin's act grew convincing. At work, he clutched his stomach, looking frail, worrying his co-workers. At home, he slumped on the couch, sighing about exhaustion. Eliza watched with a glint of satisfaction, thinking her poison was working. It broke my heart. Benjamin wasn't just my son, he was my pride, the one to carry my dream. Watching him fake pain to trick his would-be killer filled me with both pride and deep sorrow. Late that night, passing the hallway, I heard Eliza whispering on the phone. I pressed against the wall, listening. "A few more days, and I'll get everything," she said, voice low but firm. I quietly pulled out my phone, started recording, and held it steady. Her clear words gave me key evidence. Back in my room, I sent the file to Inspector Carter with a note. "We are close to the end." Next morning, Carter called us to the precinct. He sat at his desk, eyes sharp but voice calm. "We have enough to arrest her, but for a sure conviction, we need a final push. A fake death for Benjamin will make her slip and confess." I looked at Benjamin. His hands clenched, face tense. I knew he still loved Eliza, but he nodded firmly. "I'll do it. Waiting's too risky, and you're in danger too, Mom." His words cut deep. I admired his courage but hated his pain from her betrayal. I squeezed his hand, whispering, "I'm with you, Benjamin. We'll get through this." Carter nodded, leading us to a conference room to plan. The police worked with the University of Maryland Medical Center to set up a room with hidden cameras everywhere. Dr. Laura Wilson, Carter's friend, agreed to help. She'd fake a medical file showing severe poisoning and cardiac arrest. Benjamin and I spent hours with her, perfecting every detail. The plan: Benjamin would collapse at dinner, faking poisoning. I'd call an ambulance and tell Eliza he died. Every step was precise, but I was anxious. If Eliza didn't react as planned or sensed a trick, it could all fail. That night, tension choked the house. Eliza served dinner, placing fragrant soup before Benjamin. "Eat, love, I made this for you," she said, smiling tenderly but with cold eyes. I signaled Benjamin. He nodded, took a small bite, then grimaced. "I'm full tonight." "I'll eat less," he said. Eliza's eyes flashed disappointment, but she smiled. "I'll save it for tomorrow." Minutes later, Benjamin started the act. He clutched his stomach, face pale, breathing hard. "Mom, it hurts," he gasped, collapsing, spilling a glass of water. I leapt up, shouting, "Benjamin, what's wrong?" My voice shook, not all from acting. Seeing him still, even faking, gripped my heart. Eliza rushed over, grabbing his hand, crying, "Love, wake up." But as she leaned in, her eyes held a flicker of satisfaction, not worry. I grabbed my phone, pretending to call 911, voice frantic. "Hurry, my son's not breathing." Eliza sobbed beside him, face covered, but her tears lacked real grief. I turned away, avoiding her eyes, afraid I'd scream the truth. Soon, ambulance sirens wailed. Undercover cops posing as paramedics loaded Benjamin onto a stretcher and into the vehicle. Eliza lunged forward. "I'm his wife, I'm going." An officer blocked her firmly. "Only one person can come." I stepped up, taking her hand, faking comfort. "Stay, dear. I'll go with him. I'll update you." She nodded, eyes red, but her trembling hand betrayed her. I climbed into the ambulance. The door slammed, and we sped off. Holding Benjamin's hand, I whispered, "You were perfect. My turn now." He opened his eyes, smiling faintly. "I trust you, Mom." My heart warmed, yet felt heavy. This act would be our turning point, but it cut us both deeply. At the University of Maryland Medical Center, everything was ready. Benjamin lay still on a bed, wired to machines. A monitor faked a cardiac arrest, looking painfully real. Dr. Wilson stood by, checking the fake file, giving me reassuring glances. I sat beside Benjamin, staring at my still son. Though I knew it was a ruse, tears welled up. I recalled his childhood, running hand in hand in the garden. Now he lay here to trap the woman he loved. I wiped my tears, urging myself to stay strong. I texted Eliza, hands shaking, "Come to the hospital now." Benjamin didn't make it. Sending it felt like dropping a stone into a void. I waited, heart in my throat, jumping at every hallway sound. Inspector Carter watched from a corner, monitoring hidden cameras. He whispered, "You're doing well." Now we wait for her reaction. 40 minutes later, rapid footsteps echoed. Eliza burst in, hair messy, one heel wobbly, eyes red from forced tears. She hugged me, sobbing, "It can't be, Mom." Benjamin was so young. Her voice cracked, but I sensed her falseness. I stood stiff, playing the grieving mother. "Calm down, dear," I whispered, voice thick with rage and pain, not just acting. Her fake tears made me want to scream, but I held back. The act wasn't over. Carter and 3 plainclothes officers lingered nearby, posing as bystanders, watching Eliza. One, in sunglasses, recorded with a hidden camera. She didn't notice, hugging me, tears streaming. "Mom, how did this happen?" she wailed. I nodded, patting her back, fighting the urge to shove her away and demand the truth. "Come see Benjamin one last time," I said, voice shaking, leading her to the room where he lay, sheet to his chest, face pale from makeup. Machines beeped faintly, setting a grim scene. Eliza neared, hands trembling as she touched his. Tears fell, but her eyes held relief, not grief, as if a burden had lifted. My heart sank. How could she fake sorrow for the man she caused this for? She leaned close, whispering, "Finally, it's over." She bit her lip, realizing her slip. But it was too late, the hidden MIC caught it. My blood froze. Then Benjamin's eyes snapped open. He sat up fast. Eliza screamed, stumbling back. "It can't be." "I was so careful," she gasped, eyes wild with terror, like she'd seen a ghost. My heart pounded, torn between relief and pain. Benjamin glared at her, eyes cold with betrayal. "Careful," he said icily. "Careful to kill me?" Eliza staggered, clutching the bed to stay upright. "No, you're wrong," she stammered, voice shaking, betraying her. Carter stepped in, voice stern. "That's enough, Miss Eliza. You're under arrest for attempted murder." 3 officers blocked the exits. Her face paled. "It wasn't me," she cried, voice cracking. "It was just a spice, for flavor." Carter held up a folder and USB, voice calm but sharp. "Want to see? Video of you adding powder to the soup, arsenic in lab results, your call, and what you just said, all recorded." Eliza wobbled, legs giving out. She looked at me, then Benjamin, panic in her eyes. "I didn't want to kill," she mumbled. Then, crumbling, she fell to the floor, sobbing, "I just wanted the money. That old lady's charity plan left me no choice." Her confession stabbed my heart, confirming my fears. I stood, torn by pain for her betrayal and relief that the truth was out. Benjamin stepped close, arm around me, whispering, "Mom, we did it." His voice shook but held resolve. I gripped his hand, feeling its warmth, one I nearly lost. "I'm so proud, son," I said, tears falling quietly. Eliza slumped on the floor, sobbing as officers approached with handcuffs. "Come with us," Carter said, his voice cold. She looked up, pleading with me, but I shook my head. "You chose this, Eliza," I said, voice breaking. "I trusted you, and you betrayed us." As they led her away, the hospital hallway grew quiet. I hugged Benjamin, feeling his heartbeat, the one I feared I'd lost. Amid the medical center's bustle, it was just us 2. I thought of the years raising Benjamin alone, building my perfume brand for him, all the pain and sacrifices. They were worth it. My son was still here. The police took Eliza to a small, harshly lit interrogation room in the hospital. Benjamin and I sat in an observation room, watching through a two-way mirror. I held his trembling hand, his eyes fixed on Eliza, searching for the wife he once loved. I squeezed his hand, whispering, "Son, we'll end this today." But I wasn't sure if I was comforting him or myself. Eliza sat before Carter, hair messy, hands cuffed. Sweat beaded on her forehead. Carter's voice was soft but sharp. "Miss Eliza, tell the truth. Why did you do it?" She looked up, eyes darting. "I didn't do anything." "You're framing me," she said loudly, but her shaky voice betrayed her, as if she was convincing herself. Carter stayed silent, placing a small glass bottle from our kitchen on the table. "What's this?" he asked, voice calm but pressing. "Salt, sugar, or arsenic?" Eliza stared at the bottle, eyes wide, lips bitten, knuckles white. Benjamin clenched his fists beside me, breathing hard. "Stay calm, son," I whispered, gripping his shoulder, though rage burned in me too. A doctor entered with papers. "These are from your home's soup and juice," he said, staring at Eliza. "The arsenic could kill a healthy adult quickly." Eliza laughed nervously, voice cracking. "No, it's not true. I gave him vitamins. He was tired. I wanted him better." Her words sounded hollow, even to her. Carter didn't let up. He played the kitchen camera footage, Eliza sprinkling white powder into the soup, stirring it, faking salt and pepper. Her face was cold, emotionless. Benjamin sighed heavily, head in hands, unable to watch the woman he loved. I held his hand, silent, my heart aching. I had to be strong. "Anything else to say?" Carter asked, voice cutting. Eliza shook her head, eyes frantic, sweat dripping. "I don't know about arsenic," she stammered. Carter signaled, and her recorded voice filled the room. "A few more days, and I'll get everything." It was my recording from her phone call. Eliza froze, face ashen, like she'd been struck. "That's not me," she cried, but her voice lacked strength. Benjamin leapt up, fists tight, eyes red. "Mom, I can't take this," he said, ready to storm out. I hugged him tight, stopping him. "Let the police finish, son. She's cornered." His pain wasn't just anger, it was a heart broken by betrayal. Carter pressed on, voice steady. "One more thing." He set my will and estate papers on the table, pointing to the key clause. "If Benjamin died first, you'd get everything. You knew that, right?" Eliza's eyes widened in panic, mouth open but silent. Carter continued, "You planned it for years, starting with small arsenic doses, then upping them when you heard about the charity donation." Eliza sobbed on the floor, but her tears held no regret, only rage. "It's that old lady's fault," she screamed. "Her donation plan forced me to rush." Her words stabbed my heart. I stood frozen, my world crumbling. She didn't just want Benjamin dead, she blamed me, as if I'd driven her to it. Benjamin hugged me, voice shaking. "Mom, don't listen. She doesn't deserve your pain." Inspector Carter signaled an officer, signing a detention order. "You're going to the central precinct," he said coldly. Eliza collapsed, face in hands, sobbing, but no one cared. Her heavy footsteps echoed as they took her away. Benjamin and I sat, staring silently through the two-way mirror at the empty table and papers. Next morning, we entered DC Police Headquarters. The air was thick, smelling of stale paper and coffee. I held Benjamin's tense hand as an officer led us to a witness room. I looked at my son, his face still raw with yesterday's pain, but his eyes steadier. "Mom, this ends today, right?" he whispered. I squeezed his hand. "Yes, son. This nightmare stops now." Eliza sat in the interrogation room behind glass, head down, hands cuffed, hair messy. Gone was the charm of the daughter-in-law I'd loved. Her wrinkled blouse and swollen eyes showed exhaustion, not sorrow. I stared at Eliza through the two-way mirror, a storm of anger and pain swirling inside me. This woman, who had once sat at our family table, sharing meals and laughter with us, had nearly stolen everything I held dear. The memories flashed before my eyes, the holidays we celebrated together, the quiet evenings where she'd pretend to care, all while plotting in the shadows. How could someone I'd welcomed so warmly turn into this monster? My chest tightened as I watched her, the betrayal cutting deeper than any knife. Her public defender entered the room, a middle-aged man dressed in a plain grey suit that seemed as worn as his expression. He set his briefcase down on the metal table with a soft thud, the sound echoing in the tense silence. "Miss Eliza," he said in a low, measured voice, "I strongly advise you to cooperate. The evidence against you is overwhelming. Fighting it now will only make things worse." He leaned in slightly, his tone professional yet urgent, trying to pierce through her denial. Eliza looked up at him, her eyes flashing with a brief spark of panic before they softened into resignation. It was as if the weight of everything had finally crushed her spirit. "I'll tell everything," she whispered, her voice barely audible, like a faint echo in the cold room. Beside me, Benjamin tensed up, his body going rigid. His fists clenched so tightly that his knuckles turned white. I reached out, touching his shoulder gently, but my own hand was trembling. I was bracing myself for the words that were about to come, knowing they would reopen wounds that had barely begun to heal. Her confession started slowly, her voice weak but clear, cutting through the air like a dull blade. "I found arsenic on hidden online forums," she said, her eyes staring at the table as if she couldn't bear to look anyone in the face. "I learned that it's hard to detect if you use small doses over time." She paused, swallowing hard, her throat moving visibly. "I got it from a black market dealer on the outskirts of the city, a shady contact I found through those same forums. It wasn't hard to get, and I started adding just a little to Benjamin's food every day, bit by bit." Those words sent a chill racing down my spine, freezing me in place. I gripped the edge of the table in the observation room, my knuckles aching from the pressure. In my mind, vivid images flooded back, of Eliza in our bright, welcoming kitchen, smiling as she stirred pots and prepared meals. But now, I could see it differently, her hand sneaking that deadly powder into the soup, the same soup she'd serve with a loving glance. How many times had I praised her cooking, unaware of the poison lurking within? The thought made my stomach turn, a wave of nausea washing over me. "I didn't want him to die fast," she continued, her voice trembling now, as if the reality of her actions was finally hitting her. "I wanted him to get weak gradually, so everyone would think it was just some illness, something natural. And when he was gone, I'd inherit the fortune, it would all be mine." She hesitated, her eyes flicking toward the two-way mirror, as if she could sense my presence on the other side. "After that, I planned to find a way for the lady," her voice trailed off for a moment, then she finished, "for the lady to pass away naturally too." Benjamin exploded beside me, leaping to his feet and slamming his hand down on the table so hard that the sound reverberated through the room. "You planned to kill Mom too," he shouted, his eyes reddened with fury and disbelief. His face was flushed, veins standing out on his neck as the full horror sank in. I pulled him back down quickly, wrapping my arms around him in a tight hug. "Calm down, son," I whispered, my voice soothing despite the storm inside me. "She can't hurt us anymore." But deep down, I felt utterly shattered. Eliza hadn't just targeted my son, she'd set her sights on me as well, all driven by that boundless, ruthless ambition. The realization made the room spin, and I held onto Benjamin tighter, drawing strength from him. In the interrogation room, Inspector Carter continued taking notes carefully, his pen moving steadily across the page. His voice remained calm and composed, a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding. "So, what was your motive?" he asked evenly. "Was it just the money?" Eliza nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face now, but there was no true remorse in her expression, only a hollow defeat. "I had nothing," she said, her words laced with bitterness. "I grew up in poverty, scraping by every day. When I married Benjamin, I thought that was my ticket to a better life, to security and wealth. But then she announced she was going to donate her entire fortune to charity. I couldn't let that happen, I couldn't lose it all. I covered my face with my hands, silent tears falling between my fingers. I had once believed Eliza was the perfect daughter-in-law, someone who genuinely loved Benjamin and fit seamlessly into our family. But now, her true face was exposed, raw and ugly, a mask of greed and deception peeled away. The police recorded every word of her confession, the tape whirring softly in the background. Her public defender sat there in silence, unable to mount any defense as his client incriminated herself further with each passing second. Carter finally set down his pen and signed the arrest warrant with a decisive stroke. His voice was firm, leaving no room for argument. "You're headed to the detention center to continue the investigation," he said without a hint of compassion. "Attempted murder isn't a minor matter, it carries severe consequences." Eliza broke down completely then, covering her face with her cuffed hands and sobbing uncontrollably, her body shaking. But no one in the room was moved, her tears rang false after everything we'd heard. The officers stepped forward, helping her to her feet and leading her out. The sound of her heavy footsteps echoed down the hospital hallway, fading into the distance like the end of a bad dream. Benjamin and I remained seated in the observation room, staring silently through the two-way mirror at the now empty table and the scattered folder of documents. The weight of the moment hung over us, a mix of relief and exhaustion. Hours later, the news exploded across Washington, D.C. Headlines screamed from every newspaper and screen: "Young socialite arrested for attempting to poison husband to inherit fortune." I read those words on my phone, a surreal feeling washing over me, as if I were trapped in a nightmare that had finally broken. The scandal hit Benjamin's financial firm hard at first, with stocks plummeting in the initial chaos. Investors panicked, and the phones rang off the hook with worried calls. But fortunately, the board of directors acted swiftly and decisively. They held an emergency press conference, laying out the facts transparently, assuring everyone that Benjamin was recovering and that the firm remained strong. Public opinion shifted quickly, the storm calming as people focused on the betrayal rather than the business implications. Meanwhile, my perfume brand unexpectedly received a wave of praise from the press. What started as a fake plan to trap Eliza became a reality. I turned the idea of the charitable foundation into something tangible. I established a foundation dedicated to protecting women who are victims of domestic violence, channeling my pain into a force for good. It felt like a way to reclaim some control, to transform the horror we'd endured into a beacon of hope for others. I didn't want anyone else to suffer the silent agony Benjamin and I had faced, the betrayal hidden behind closed doors. Benjamin's health gradually improved with each passing day. After several rounds of tests and treatments, the traces of arsenic in his body began to decrease, fading away like a bad memory. The doctor pulled me aside one afternoon, his face optimistic. "He'll be back to normal soon," he assured me, patting my shoulder. "Your quick actions saved his life." Hearing those words brought a rush of gratitude, but also a reminder of how close we'd come to losing everything. One peaceful afternoon, the two of us sat on the balcony of our home, watching the sunset paint the DC sky in deep shades of red and orange. The air was warm, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of blooming flowers from the garden below. Benjamin reached over and took my hand in his grip firm and reassuring. His voice was warm, filled with emotion. "Mom, thanks to you, I'm still alive," he said softly. "From now on, we won't let anyone get in the way of our family. We are stronger than this." I looked at him, my heart swelling with love, and smiled through the tears that welled up once more. "Son, I just wanted you to be safe," I replied, my voice catching. "I couldn't bear the thought of losing you, it would have destroyed me." He pulled me into a hug, and in that moment, I felt the unbreakable power of a mother's love, a force that nothing could shatter. As we sat there, staring at the fading sunset, thoughts swirled in my mind. Eliza's greed had buried her, I reflected silently, but my love for Benjamin and his for me had conquered everything. This house, the perfume brand, and all our dreams would continue to exist, not because of the money or the material things, but because we had each other. That bond was what truly mattered, what had seen us through the darkness. I squeezed Benjamin's hand tighter, a great sense of relief flooding my heart, washing away some of the lingering shadows. But I knew the scars from this ordeal would remain, faint but present, needing time and care to fully heal. This story we've shared is fictional, yet it draws inspiration from real events that have touched lives in ways we can only imagine. Names and places have been changed to protect the identities of those involved, preserving their privacy in a world that's often too quick to expose. I'm not telling this tale to pass judgment on anyone, but rather with the hope that it sparks reflection. Think about how many mothers out there are silently suffering within the walls of their own homes, enduring betrayals and pains that go unseen. Their stories deserve to be heard, their strength acknowledged. I'm truly eager to hear your thoughts, to step into your mind for a moment. If you were standing in my shoes, faced with a betrayal that shattered the trust I'd built over years, what would you do? Imagine discovering someone you loved, someone you welcomed into your heart and home, was plotting against you and your child. Would you swallow the pain, choosing silence to keep a fragile peace, hoping to avoid more heartbreak? Or would you find the strength to confront the truth head-on, no matter how raw and painful, to protect what matters most and reclaim your voice? I'm curious, what choice would you make, and why? Your perspective could shed light on the paths we take in the face of such gut-wrenching decisions. Every story we share, every truth we uncover, is like a candle flickering in the darkness. It lights the way for someone else who might be stumbling through their own shadows, unsure of their next step. I've learned that courage in the face of adversity is a gift, not just to ourselves, but to others who draw strength from our stories. I believe with all my heart that God blesses those who rise above fear, who choose to fight for what's right, no matter the cost. Bravery isn't easy, but it carves a path to brighter days, to a future where healing can begin and hope can take root. As we close this chapter, I want to leave you with something special. On the final screen, you'll find links to two of the channel's most cherished stories, tales that will grip your heart and spark your imagination just as this one has. They are woven with the same raw emotion and unexpected twists that keep us connected, story after story. Thank you for staying with me through this journey, for giving your time and attention to a tale of love, betrayal, and triumph. Your presence here means more than words can express, and I hope this story has left a spark in you, just as your engagement lights up my world.